Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. How are you, Margie? How are you, Susan? Can you hear me all right? Just trying to check my audio. How are you, Margie? How are you, Susan? All right, well, actually, still good morning. I'm Carbon County Commissioner Chris Lukasiewicz. This is the meeting, the virtual meeting after the meeting, the Board of Commissioners meeting. I'm just going to take 1 or 2 minutes to talk for a second about 2 items that came up in the Commissioners meeting, and then I'm going to introduce our department head, a guest, Pam, who's going to speak to us about tax assessment. And interestingly enough, I did just get a Facebook message yesterday in regards to per capita tax. So I am going to ask a question to Pam about per capita tax. And it was something I had to deal with for about 30 some years. And so I think it'll be relevant to many others here in Carbon County. So again, this is the meeting after the meeting. I'm Carbon County Commissioner Chris Lukasiewicz. First 2 highlights, it was actually a really light commissioners meeting today. We did a proclamation for the Cernak Farm up on Quakegate Road in Packer Township. They just celebrated their centennial, or they used yesterday to recognize their 100 years of agriculture and farming in Carbon County. I think importantly to recognize in regard to that, not only have we recognized the Cernak Farm this month, but at the inauguration or the opening of the Carbon County Fair, we recognize the Fogle Farm that has just celebrated 200 years of existence in Carbon County. Importantly also about the Cernak Farm, as many realize, the Area Agency on Aging runs a program for seniors, and that gives them really coupons towards their purchase of fresh produce in farms in Carbon County. And Cernak's Farm is a part of that network of farms that allows the seniors to use these Pennsylvania Department of Agricultural coupons to buy produce. So thank them for participation in that seniors nutrition program. Secondly, on the personnel report, we saw we had 3 part-time parking attendants who will be leaving us. So we do have a current ad out at carboncounty.com for parking attendants. I refer to them as parking ambassadors. They normally are the first folks visitors actually speak to when they come into Carbon County, into the county seat here in Jim Thorpe, to park in the county lots that we have. So if you're interested in a part-time position, being a parking ambassador, parking attendant, enforcement officer with Carbon County government, go to carboncounty.com, fill out your application, and get that in. But really, today's meeting really continues on my desire to ensure the public understands the value of services that county government provides. Just about a month or so ago, might have been maybe 6 weeks, we had Jill Geisinger from Children and Youth Services talk about the critically important job that her and her staff does to protect our children in Carbon County. Now, an issue that's always sensitive to all of us, mostly kind of the May time frame and the August time frame, right? You might be able to recognize this, right? That's your tax notice that gets sent out by one of the taxing entities in Carbon County, be it the school district, the county, or your local municipalities. So in order to better educate ourselves about tax assessment, the taxing process when it comes to property tax here in Carbon County, I've invited Pam, our Director of Tax Assessment, to be with me. Pam, if you'd come on up and join us, we're going to have a little conversation here for no more than 30 minutes. So we're going to kind of keep it nice and tight. And for those who are joining us on Facebook right now, watching live, thank you so much. I seen Madeline Susan is watching and joining us. So Pam, let's start out, just relax. Again, this is, so just so you know, orient you, the camera is right there. Obviously, we have the confidence screen behind, so we can kind of see each other as we're talking. We're going to talk about tax assessment over about maybe in the next 25 to 30 minutes. But could you give us a little bit of background about you and how you came to be the director of tax assessment and your experience and background?
I started here in 2000 in the tax assessment office, and just recently took the position of chief assessor of the office.
Okay. And could you give us a little sense of what is the mission? What is the role of the tax assessment office in Carbon County?
To keep the tax rolls of the occupation and the real estate for the county,
Okay.
and to provide information we can to the taxpayers so they feel everything is accurate with their assessments, which result in the taxes that they pay.
Okay. Can you give us a little sense of how your office is organized? How many people do you have, and what are their specific roles or programs that they cover?
Yes, we have a clerk at the front desk to assist anybody. We have 4 assessors. And the programs we have are the veterans. That's Lou Galone. Homestead is Lou Galone. Cleaning Green is Kathleen McGuire, and then the appeals is Jeff Davis.
Appeals. All right. So you have a total staff of 4 plus 1 who's the front desk plus yourself. So a total of 6 is
and we have another secretary, Shannon.
Oh, right. So okay, perfect.
Yes.
There we go. Got it. So you have a 7-member staff. And where is the tax assessment office located?
In the courthouse administration building on the 1st floor.
All right. So the courthouse administration building, many of us still refer to it as the courthouse annex, right? It's the 1st floor. Come in through the sheriff's screening, just continue along that path, and you basically run right into that door. Now, just remember, on the left, as you go past the 2 latrines, you actually have collections on your left. So continue past that window, and you'll see a tax assessment. So talk to me a little bit about the primary tasks of your office, because you did mention just short of a handful of programs. Maybe we can talk about the primary tasks using the programs in just a minute. But I think everybody wants to know, how do you assess a property? What am I paying taxes on? What value? And how is that value figured out?
The process of your...
Yeah, the process. So let's say I just bought a home, I just built a home, and I haven't had a tax bill yet, but when I see this comes in, all of a sudden I say, wow, $2,500 to the school district. I mean, how is that determined? So what's the process to go from kind of cradle to grave?
Right, well, each taxpayer would have, if they own property, would have at least a vacant piece of property that would be billed as a tax.
Right.
Then when they would like to put an improvement on, they start with their township or borough and get the proper paperwork from them to build or a garage or a home or anything like that. Then we get a copy of that permit, and we send our assessors out to the property to take outside measurements, gather any facts that would need to come up with the assessed value for that property and that improvement. And then we would send the taxpayer a notice, and they would have 40 days to appeal that notice if they feel any incorrections or questions on that notice before a tax bill would be filed.
So how about this? Let's say I have a home that is worth $100,000. How would your office go through calculating what my taxes might be based upon just simply $100,000 of value of my home?
Well, we're on predetermined years, so we're on year 2000 values.
Okay.
So you would have to take, if it's currently 100,000, you would have to take it times the current common level ratio, which is set by the state, each year different. So you would divide that 100,000 by currently is 3.33, would give you an assessment amount. That is what the millage from the taxing bodies is applied to get a tax dollar amount.
Okay, so normally though, we tax we are taxed on 50% of the assessed value. Is that correct? Does that,
Of the predetermined, yes.
of the predetermined?
But not a current 2021 value.
Right,
not
it's based
50%
on-
of that.
Right,
Yes.
it's based on really the last time a full assessment was
Correct.
done?
Correct.
Right, and I guess reassessments seem to be a very sensitive issue.
Yes.
And why is that?
I've never went through one. I started as in the office during that time, so I really don't know why it would be so sensitive. There's a lot of work pertaining to it, but that would have to be directed again back at the commissioners of what's all involved and who would be involved in the financing of that.
Right,
I
because it is
think-
very expensive.
Yes.
Mostly, you have, a very large county, quite a few residents, business properties, even just vacant land properties. All of that
Everything would
would
be
have to
taken into consideration,
reassess.
Yes.
All right. Can you talk a little bit about the programs? Let's start maybe with, you mentioned a veterans program. Could you mention, who qualifies for that and what benefit or entitlement does it provide a veteran?
Yes, it's 100% wartime
Okay.
disabled, and it starts with the Veterans Office. Here, they apply. Our person in charge of that is Lou Galone.
Okay.
When he gets the proper paperwork filed from the Veterans Office, and it would pertain to their primary residence, would be exempt as long as they qualify it. It is re-looked at every 5 years to make sure that that veteran is still qualified.
Okay, and again, words matter, mostly for veterans. You said a 100% wartime disabled.
Yes, not just a disabled.
Disabled.
Correct.
Okay, right, okay, very good, thank you for that. And that's Lou who handles that.
Yes.
And what's the phone number, if there's a veteran who's 100% wartime disabled and wants more details, would you say they first go to Christine in her office, or they should contact Lou direct, or does
I
it not?
would think contact Christine, but also if they have any questions, they can contact Lou. Our number office is 570-325-5254.
5254.
Lou's extension is 3545.
3545. Okay,
Yes.
great. All right. So that is wartime disabled, 100% disabled program. How about Clean and Green, the Clean and Green programs?
That person who handles that is Kathy McGuire.
Okay.
And her extension is 3543 if you need to get a hold
Okay.
of her. That is a program that is offered to anyone who has 10 acres or more.
Okay.
If they're under 10 acres and qualify for the program, they have to show $2,000 of income per year to be qualified for that. That program gives the taxpayer reduction in the assessed land value based on soil types of that property.
Okay. So therefore, it appears you have to have primarily 10 or more acres. However, the exception is if you have at least $2,000 in revenue generated
Right.
From that
Right,
property.
if you only have 4 acres, but you're farming that and you can produce that.
Right. Okay.
Also, the deadline for that is June 1st.
Okay. So June 1st, the
previous-
application
Yes.
has to be in regards to homestead, or
Clean
excuse
and
me,
Green,
Clean and Green.
correct.
Okay, and that leads us into another program, Homestead. And what is it? How do you go about, and what are the qualifications for that?
Homestead is a revenue based on the gambling in PA.
Okay.
And that money is divided amongst the school districts, and then that is divided then again against the primary residents of each school district who qualify.
Okay.
A qualified person it has to be your primary residence.
Okay.
And every year in December, applications are sent out to the taxpayers who are not in the program.
Okay.
So it's advised to send that back in, but the deadline there is March 1st. And I forgot where I was going, but it has to be your primary residence. So sometimes something happens in the computer where North Street was spelled out, or for some reason you get bumped out of the program. once you're in the program, you may remain in the program unless something changes with your property.
Mm-hmm.
Say a name gets dropped off or anything like that. So that's why I'm stressing, if you get that application, to return that back to our office.
Okay.
And that's also Lou Glone who handles that.
Okay,
If you
so,
want more
so we
information.
mentioned the Veterans Program, Clean and Green, Homestead. Is there any other programs that you manage that's kind of a tax reduction? Those are the three,
Them are
correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much
Okay,
the.
those are three. So, tell me the process that you all go through, your office tax assessment, to get the tax bills out. Because if I understand correctly, we have three taxing authorities or districts, right? The school districts, the municipalities, plus the county.
Correct.
Now, it appears I get one of these in May, and then I'll get another one in August. So what is the process that gets this into my hands?
Well, our county bills are printed here from our IT department.
Right.
The schools and the municipalities have different entities of what their process is.
Okay.
So, I'm not really sure what
All right,
you're
so
asking.
when I get a tax bill from the county, it's actually been printed here and sent from the county,
It's sent from the tax collector.
from the tax
We
collector,
give them to the
correct?
tax collectors,
Right.
and in
Okay.
the spring, they send the county and the township or borough
Right.
to the taxpayer, and in the fall, they send the school district
All
ones
right.
to the taxpayer.
Okay, so I got it. We're printing them, we're folding them, putting them in envelopes, or
The
no?
taxpayer, the tax collector.
Right,
Mhm.
and we're just sending them
We
to
give
the
them
tax
information,
collectors.
yes.
And then they mail them out, and they're responsible for collecting.
They collect it, and then they bring the county's funds back, and then our office sends them to the according offices who file those monies.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab something from my desk here. Hold on, I apologize for folks watching. It seems you have really a symbiotic relationship, a really close relationship with our GIS and mapping.
Yes.
What role does mapping play in helping you do your office's job?
We work pretty close together with either certifying deeds.
Certifying, what does certifying a deed mean, or what does it entail?
If somebody wants to transfer a property, they file a deed, but it has to be certified number at our office to make sure it's the right deed the property being transferred.
Right.
So if there is like a split, if you have 10 acres and I only want to sell 2, a new deed is drawn up where mapping gives it a new number. And
Okay.
we both certify it to make sure it's the right owner, the right parcel number, and where the tax bill is being sent.
Okay, so that's really, there is a tight collaboration between mapping and tax assessment.
mapping.
And deeds, right, recorder of deeds plays a
And
role.
even the mapping for like, our going out on the roads and seeing the properties and things like that.
Okay,
So-
well, so that's great, you made a perfect segue for me. So, I every once in a while I'll get phone calls saying, hey, I seen some stranger in an orange vest or something running around my house taking pictures or doing measurements. Is that your office at times?
Yes, our office, getting back to when you asked about the house
Yeah.
being put on, once we get the information to visit the property, 2 of our assessors go to the property to gather facts, whether it's
Okay.
measurements for a deck, a home, garages, anything, to bring that back to our office to put the value on it. If you're not there, or, if you're there, we knock, but if it's, like no trespassing or something, they have to contact you directly. They'll send you a letter, and then we'll contact you that way, that we can call you and try to make an appointment if you need to be at the property.
Okay, is there a standard uniform or garment they wear that helps us better identify that they are county employees
Yes.
from your office?
We have a car with the county emblem on it,
Okay.
and we also have shirts with our emblem on it,
Okay.
and we each have our IDs with us.
Your county
Yes.
ID.
County ID and our state license ID,
Okay.
so that way if
Right.
anybody's out there with just a county ID or something, we have both, so that way they'll know that it's from our office.
Okay, so what you had earlier described is the tax office going out because they've been prompted by the passing of a permit from the municipalities. And obviously, if a municipality fails to pass that information, you don't have cause to go out and reassess it.
Right, we do get notifications from just borough, not even with a permit, or anybody from permit, we can go out. The same as if you remove something, we come out and take it off the
Okay.
assessment also. So there's many different flags that would flag us to come to your property.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, the previous Board of Commissioners approved the program, and it has been, continued resources have been provided for an overflight program, that did an overflight, multiple overflights now of Carbon County, to differentiate between what was present and what is now present. How does your office use the information from that program in your role as tax assessment?
Okay, that was from 2008 to 2018.
Okay.
Anything that is flagged on that flyover, we are checking our systems to make sure we have it updated.
Okay.
If something looks discrepancy, that's where we're visiting the properties and making sure that we have the correct information that should be at the property currently.
Okay, so let's say for instance, in 2005, I didn't have a garage, but unbeknownst to the municipality, I went out, I contracted it, I had it built, a 30 by 30 garage, pole barn, whatever. Overflight takes place, that imagery is put into a system, it detects it through technology that there has been a change. There seems to be a building here. That's kind of the prompt for you all to see, one, has it been included
Correct.
into the residential property record card, for example? And then if it's not, you'll kind of prioritize it on your list of assessments that have to be done.
Yes, we're going from township to township, and the assessors have been working very hard at that, and we've been pretty good to get almost through the whole county. So that it will be added, you'll get a notice,
Yep.
and then you have 40 days to appeal that, and then it goes into the tax roll.
Okay, so that's the train getting ready. It's actually coming back in, the 11 o'clock coming back in, or repositioning itself for the 1 o'clock. So our apologies for that. So Pam was just, the Director of Tax Assessment, was just speaking a few minutes ago about the symbiotic relationship between the mapping or the GIS department and her office. And GIS does have an excellent website,
Yes.
their GIS mapping website, where you can go in, click on the map, individual parcels, and get the residential property record with all the detailed information about really the assessed value, what feeds into the assessment of the property.
That's
correct?
what you're being assessed for, correct?
What you're being assessed for. So if you haven't seen that, go to carboncounty.com. Down in the left-hand side, you'll see a GIS mapping link, basically a small image that will get you to the portal. Also, if you go under carboncounty.com, under departments, and go to tax assessment and click on that, they also have a link to a property search database there. But I will tell you, I enjoy going to the mapping one better. You can zero right in on your house, click on it, you kind of scroll down a little bit, and you'll see a little hyperlink, underlined hyperlink for the property record card. And how is this utilized? Or is this just really takes all the information in the database and makes it available for public use?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Now, I did see you had sent me a report about the total assessed value of property in Carbon County, and it was broken down by municipality. But I saw at the end, the total number, the grand total for taxable properties is $1,697,506 and I think 47 cents, more or less. So that assessment value, that value is really based on 2000. What was the year? Because remember,
That's
isn't
the
there
assessment year, yes.
the assessment
yes.
year of 2000?
Yes, that's
Right.
the current assessment.
All right,
yes.
so that would have to be still adjusted by that
3.3.
3.33.
Yes.
And then that would give us really the 2021 value of
But
property.
market value.
Market.
How we have it as, valued, yes.
Okay, yeah, how we have it evaluated to which a millage rate could be applied.
No, the millage rate is applied to that assessment,
Right.
yes.
Yep, okay, got it, right. So, that's perfect, that's great. So, we have somewhere under $1.697 billion in property value. Kind of take off 3% of that, that kind of gives you the
That's taxable.
taxable, that's right.
Right.
Not fair market value.
No, I think that was taxable, not untaxable, like there's.
Is tax, right, you have
Yes.
taxable and non-taxable.
Right, so that's
Right,
taxable,
right.
yes.
The untaxable properties, 154 million.
Yes,
154
yeah,
million. So what are those untaxable properties? What do they fall in? Like, I
Exempt.
mean,
I'm pretty sure you'd have the report with IT, but that's exempt properties. and
Okay.
Things that are not collecting a tax dollar on.
okay, yep, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I assumed they were. All right, so, all right, well, Pam, I wanna thank you. I think actually you had touched on most of the questions that I had. Is there something else in regards to tax assessment that is important for the public to know? And again, you do actually have a pretty informative website at carboncounty.com.
That's what I was just gonna say, if there's any questions, they could look on that first and see if that doesn't answer them, they can call our office again at 570-325-5254 to help with anything. I don't.
Looking through all my notes, and those were the questions I had.
Our email is carbontax@carboncounty.net, if they want to email something.
Okay, right. And don't confuse tax assessment with tax collection or
Tax
claim.
claim, correct,
Tax
yes,
claim,
yes.
right? So if there's an issue with a tax bill, it doesn't go to assessment.
Correct.
You know, you got a tax bill, that's when you're working with collections.
Right,
Right.
right.
And again, if you have any questions, just call either tax claim or tax assessment. They'll ensure you're in the
Yeah,
right
sure,
office
yeah.
to resolve or work towards resolution on any issue you have. So I want to thank you all for calling, or excuse me, I want to thank you all for joining Pam and I, the Director of Tax Assessment, in these past 25 minutes, just for an overview of what tax assessment does and the value that it brings to the services that county government provides. Don't hesitate to give Pam a call down at the tax assessment office. Feel free also to email carbon
Tax assess.
tax success. Look under departments at carboncounty.com.
Yes,
That's where
yes.
the email address, that's where the phone number is. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much, Pam, for providing this opportunity to
Thank you for
citizens
having
of
me.
Carbon County to learn a little bit more about the services provided by the tax assessment office. And now this is gonna be the uncomfortable part when I walk away to turn off the feed. All right?